Well, through the Pathfinder programme and the Children and Families Bill, we have a real opportunity to start to change the relationship between health, social care and education. And part of that is going to be involving parents at the heart of bringing that change about. And I've seen for myself the difference that parents and professionals working together strategically can have. They've said that they felt much more involved in drawing up their package of support through the education, health and care plans. And those involved in parent carer forums have told me that they've seen real changes in their area as a result of their engagement. This video is an example of participation and co-production in practice, with parents and professionals coming together with a shared vision for how things should change.
Co-production is the art of two or more people actually developing something between them, rather than one of you having a fixed idea and the other one moulding to it.
Co-production is when parents are seen as equal and strategic partners and are involved right from the outset.
It's so you can get more communication, obviously, with the authorities and professionals to make things better for the child.
It's also about complete strategic development over time, because as soon as there's a parent in the room, you've got a customer in the room and someone who's got a real view about, well, actually, this is how it feels for us.
I feel that we really are treated and respected as equal members around the table. We are professionals in our field. Nobody knows our children better than we do.
Often decisions are made about our children or about our family, and we haven't been party to the decisions. And so therefore, working in partnership where your voice is heard and you're part of the decision-making process makes all the difference.
Health is a major part of this, and you need to be involved in it. Actually, it's not a small part, it's really a big part of it.
At the beginning, it would have been very easy to have had tokenistic representation from parents just sitting in groups where they might have been overawed by discussions from professionals, but we really felt that if we put the training in at the start so that their voice on the panel was equal to the other voices that were there. And I think what we've tried to do is model within the Pathfinder team the sort of relationships that we want to see engendered between parents and professionals out in the field.
Parents sometimes say things that might be challenging to the ways that the local authority and schools have worked for a long time, and sometimes that involves changing how they do things and listening to other people that might just say something that they don't necessarily want to hear, but accommodating that and thinking, well, we can do things differently, and if we work together, then, you know, we'll achieve the things that we want to do.
The Parent and Carer Forum, although the relationships are friendly, they definitely hold us to account. And sometimes the forum can be quite challenging, and it needs to be.
Well, it gets it right. There's no point in us thinking that we know exactly how services should look. And having a strategic forum to test things out is the way that it works. So what we're able to do is not just get one or two parents' opinion, but to get a view across the piece of how services should be.
It's fairly clear from the reaction of the people around the table that they're quite pleased to have us there. They like the idea that they're not wasting their time, I think is the important bit, that they're getting it right first time, that they're actually coming up with something that they know we readily approve of.
There have been times when it's taken up a lot of time and effort, but the reward at the end of it far outweighs those difficulties, because I really think that working in partnership, we're making a difference for our children.
I think there have been challenges, but I think it has mainly been in attitudes of people who haven't been used to this way of working. And you know, what you can do is you can point to evidence. So we have had a parent on our panel within social care, which has worked really well. And you can actually say to people, well, we've tried this and it works, you know. And yes, you can see there could be problems with confidentiality and those sorts of things, but you can find ways around that. And therefore, why shouldn't we do it with this?
It is about our young people having a voice. Not only us as parents and families, you know, but the young people having a voice too.
how do young people feel listened to? Seeing change was a massive one.
This is proof that I've been listened to while being in this group, and today and being in front of all of you.
It's quite annoying after you said it once, you say it about 1 billion times.
But I was just really struck by how many of your comments and many of the things that you said is how parents feel too.
The Parent and Carers Forum and the Young People's Forum, Big Mouth Forum, told us that we needed to get out into the community. So we've started with a pop-up shop in a local shopping centre where we've had information with the different agencies and services around. And of course what that means is you go and talk to the community.
If we take the Disabled Children's Forum, we had some funding, and it was about what was best for the children and what did they actually want the money used for. So we went to the forum and asked them and used picture boards and different methods of communication that were suitable. So actually it was coming from the children and young people themselves. It may get 10% use if we funded it, but actually because the young people and families have informed that, it's getting 80% use and effective use all the time.
You can't make any changes without having input from people that are actually living that life.
When you've got a parent or a young person describing their experiences to professionals, even the most hard-bitten or cynical or sceptical professional, I think does sit up and listen to that perspective. It's made them think, well, that means there's a case for change. So there's been that powerful impact on culture change, I think.
Initially, a lot of our work that involved parents directly was around the Pathfinder. Now that's spreading, that culture of co-production. For example, our local anti-bullying strategy group is now moving towards the co-production model, and that's really pleasing because that's not the same people that were involved with Pathfinder.
I think in terms of decision making, it's been very valuable having parents involved, and from the very start with the Pathfinder, we set out to ensure that the parent-carer reps were fully involved in all aspects of the Pathfinder. That was actually quite a change for us and not something that we've been doing previously, and it's been very rewarding. Not always easy, but it's been great to have parent reps in all the different work streams, and they've always been treated very much as an equal member of the working group.
They ask questions like, well, why do you do it that way? And inevitably you've got to think, well, why do we do it that way? You know, we could change it. It wouldn't take a lot. We need to change it. We will change it. We have changed it. We've gone through some of those processes.
What it does by working in partnership is it just gives you a completely different perspective on things. So I will go home and I will say to my missus, wow, you know, I never thought of it like that.
It is real evidence-based practice, which is a word we bandy around, but I think because it's actually grounded in reality, you know, you've got much better grounds to suspect that this is actually going to work. So in a way, it's also a much more efficient and effective way of working as well. So I guess for me, it has been, you know, something you can actually go home at night and say, you know, really made a difference today.
The obvious positives for me have been the learning that I have been able to make through working so closely with parents, and how angry and upset that has sometimes made me because I've had to sort of walk in their shoes for a bit and listen to how it's been for them, and I've often found that quite upsetting. That's then made me feel even more determined to work with them and on their behalf, so it's kept me feeling very committed.
And I think from working with the local authority, and certainly with the Pathfinders and the people who are responsible for providing these services, you get a better idea of what their understanding is, what their limitations are and what their ambitions are. And they do want the best for your children. They just don't necessarily know how to do it properly. And I think just having that understanding in itself has quite a calming effect.
Work that I do makes a difference, not to me or my life personally, but for everybody. And that is just so rewarding.
We really wanted to have a legacy of the Pathfinder project in Brighton and Hove, and our way of achieving that was to embed the core principles of what we were doing within our new SEN strategy.
I would see not working in partnership as a backward step.
I just can't. I don't think we could go back from this now.
No. If they said it was suddenly going to stop,
there'd be outcry. I mean, there would, because I'd be leading it.
I think there's no going back now. With families in the room, I think everything changes. The plan changes, the assessment process and the services that we're shaping for Leicester. It makes you feel a bit more aspirational, that we need to keep on fighting for change because there's still a lot to improve.
It's not possible to work in social care without working in partnership. We would go back to wasting money, we would have unhappy customers, which would then put an awful lot more strain on the council. What's that going to do to families? They'll be in a terrible situation, and I think at the end of the day you just have uproar from parent carers that they would be lobbying like you wouldn't believe.
This is a cultural change, this is a shift of the heart and the mind, and I think once people have engaged with it and see that it does take a bit longer, but you do actually chew over issues and you come to resolutions that are shared, so it's worth it.
I mean, there's no going back. I mean, it's part of my personal philosophy and ethos, really, that, you know, you're working with people, you're not there to tell them what to do or whatever. You know, it is about working with them to find solutions to some of these issues and that we need to solve. So, no, I quite agree with Susie. No, ain't going to happen.
Ain't going to happen.